The Saints played their first preseason game this past Saturday, and to show you how unimportant it was, I almost forgot who won. In fact, if it wasn't on the screen, I don't even know if I'd remember who won. You know who really won? Zach Wilson, Trey Palmer, Bub Means, Michael Heldman, and Jordyn Price. They won. But how much does it all mean? How much stock do we put into one preseason game? So much that our lead today is first-round pick Jordyn Tyson and his sore hammy. Is the panic justified from the Houdatts along with their thousands of "I told you so"? In other words, we have plenty to talk about this morning, and we'll also dance into some of the other news around the NFL and whatever else you want to talk about, because you know what, damn it? It's Mono-y Monday. It's the Dattitude podcast, and, well, by God, it's up next.
Ready to hear the straight scoop on local and national sports? It's time for Jim Derry's take on the Saints, LSU, what betting lines to ponder, and more. He's got opinions, he's got insight, and he's got Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
What is up this morning, Dattitude family? I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside. Over the weekend, I had my first pumpkin spice coffee. You damn Skippy, I did. In my mind, it's fall. I don't care what anybody says. Speaking of coffee, I am pumped up for Dattitude. I did not have too much coffee this morning, I promise. I'm just pumped up because it is Dattitude episode number 532, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, August the 17th, 2026. Wait a minute. It's episode 532. Gabe, should we just jump to 600 so we don't infringe on Jaden Daniels' rights? Are y'all done with those memes, by the way? I am not. I am not done. It's too good. I am not done with the memes yet. StubHub not offering tickets in groups of 5. Did you see some of these? Mets saying the other day they won 4-1 over the Nats, and they stopped at 4 out of respect for Jaden Daniels. 5 guys changed their name to 4 guys. Columbia University said they removed the 5-yard line. Y'all watch online weather. I do. Max Velocity, it's a pretty good weather show. He says hurricanes will now be cat 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Can't have a cat 5. And I know this. I wouldn't want to be the New York Giants. The Commanders host the New York Giants in week number 5. You got it. Week number 5. You get it. Hamstring. We are hamstrung this morning. We're going to talk about Jordyn Tyson coming up. We all got all kinds of stuff coming up. Breaking news. Speaking of hamstrings. Oh, wait, that's not a hamstring. That's way worse than a hamstring. The GD Jets. Oh, no. Breece Hall, according to Gabe Henderson, who I got is according to someone else. I don't know which expert it is. I'm sure it's... He does not type this into my screen because he knows I'm Ron Burgundy and I'll read it. He doesn't type it in unless it's from someone we respect and know. Breece Hall was carted. Was he carted off? He just went off, just walked off, or that's even worse if he walked off. Anyway, he is off the field with a non-contact injury, and that ain't good for you New York Jets fans. I'm assuming we don't have a whole lot of New York Jets fans here. But anyway, we're going to have a lot of stuff going on here this morning. We'll come back to that. Who am I? You know who I am, Jim Derry. 36 years in the New Orleans sports media scene. It's actually 36 years, 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, the first story I ever wrote, August the 31st, 1990, coming up. 36 years in the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you so much for spending part of your morning, hopefully most of your morning, here with us here on Dat. Welcome to the Dat family. If you are new, it should be some interesting debate on Mono-y Monday. What do you even want to talk about? I mean, like there's anything. The good news is we have real football to talk about. I mean, we're talking about things that happened, whether it be in a scrimmage or a practice or a preseason game, all the same thing, honestly. I hate to tell you this, fan. I can't wait. I know I haven't looked at a single comment, but I know it's going to be in a lot of them, okay? And there is almost no difference in my mind. I'm giving you a heads up between a practice, a scrimmage, and a preseason game. They're all the same thing. In the end, grand scheme of things, they mean absolutely nothing. However, if you're going to make a football team that maybe you weren't expected to make, you have to do well in all three of those. Some of the guys we're going to talk about today have done very well in all three. Some of the guys we're going to talk about today have not done well in all three, but they did well on Saturday. Does that make a difference? You got some stats here on the screen. What do you think about the new graphics? That is what it's not all that new. It's the same fonts we've been using. I just kind of tweak some things. This is what your game day is going to look like. So we figure we might as well just use it now. This is what game day is going to look like on a regular post game. So we figured we'd start doing it. Hope you like it. And that is what on the show. The Saints reserves blow the lead against the Jags, led 20-6. By the way, when they led 20-6, my daughter came in the room, came and sat down next to me. And she said, my 10-year-old daughter, who she really is trying to learn football. She knows a little bit about some teams. She sat down, she looked at the score, it was 20-6 Saints. She says, Daddy, we must not be playing a team that isn't very good, huh? She doesn't understand the whole concept of She's like some of the people that are out there in social media land. She doesn't understand that preseason doesn't really mean that much. She's 10, though. She'll get it eventually, right? We can talk about that. How about Zach Wilson? Did he take the lead in the QB2 race? I mean, if you go by preseason, he clearly was better than Spencer Rattler. But if you go by practices and scrimmages and all of those who have been there, Spencer Rattler has won the practices and scrimmage. What matters more? I mean, right now, I think you would say practices and scrimmages mean more in the grand scheme of things. However, if Zach Wilson continues to play like this in the 3 preseason games that he's going to play in, well, then maybe he can beat him out. I'll get to all that. Bub Means, Trey Palmer, they looked really good. In fact, I told Gabe before we went on the air, I kind of wrote some of this before I actually dove into the stats. I didn't realize that Trey Palmer's stats were really kind of mundane. I thought they were better than they actually were. You know why? Because the eye test told me they were better. And I am going to tell you this, and I've told you this, but for those who are new, I use eye test in preseason and practice and scrimmage more than I use stats. The whole stat thing from practices, they really kind of grind on my nerves. That's why when people type them in comments, I'll show most comments, but I'm not showing practice stats or scrimmage stats. They're worthless. They're actually beyond worthless and sometimes can be misleading. You don't know who's playing against who in a scrimmage or a practice. You don't know. I mean, so stop it with the practice stats. Oh, Joe Blow said that Spencer Rattler was 12 of 14 for 127 yards in a practice. Well, who were the defenders? Were they even really trying? It means nothing. I mean, in fact, it means less than nothing. It can also, again, mislead you. Practice stats are worse than nothing. They can make you believe something that isn't true or something that isn't there. What about Michael Heldman, Jaden Price on defense? We're going to get to them. But yet, today's lead topic, we're going to get to, I got some other things to talk about this morning, is Jordyn Tyson. And again, we didn't really get into it. It kind of happened while we were on the air Thursday. So I know this is a few days old, but I still want to talk about it because I want to get to the outrage, the uproar, the people who can't wait to say, I told you so. I told you they should have taken Caleb Downs. Everything, it's week 1 of the preseason. I told you so. Piss off. Okay. I mean, I know that's a nice thing to say because some of my regulars are saying it too. But piss off. You don't have a clue. Adam Schefter doesn't know. And some of the other local know-it-alls don't know. No one knows how severe or non-severe Jordyn Tyson's hamstring injury is. We have talked to, you know who I trust? Guys like Mike Detillier. Okay? And we have already talked about for a couple months now. The one thing that makes me nervous, I guess, when it comes to Jordyn Tyson is, are they putting this guy in bubble wrap? You could see there are 2 ends of the spectrum, right? Look at Arizona. And this is in my script. I didn't get to this part, but it's kind of go together. Has Arizona gone the opposite way? Have they put their number one draft pick, the third pick of the draft, Jeremiah Love? They don't even know what bubble wrap is. The opposite. Have they worked him too hard in preseason and in practice? And now he's got an ankle injury? He tweaked his ankle. People are worried that now it looks like it's not that bad and he'll be back in a couple of weeks. But I really believe, this is what I believe. Again, I don't know. You know what? No one knows. All of this is speculation right now. What I think is happening right now is I think that the Saints are probably being over conservative when it comes to Jordyn Tyson. Will that make him ready for week one, or does that make him more prone to an injury? But you don't know. You're getting all hyped up about nothing. Well, it's not nothing. Can't say it's not nothing. But overhyped up, I guess, is the way to talk about it. That is going to be, when we get to Saints very shortly, that is going to be what we talk about it. By the way, I looked this morning, the win total, the projected win total, the over-under win total. A month ago, it was 7.5, over under 7.5, over at -120, under at +100. You know what it was this morning? 7.5, over -120, under +100. It hasn't changed it one iota. So odds makers don't think it means anything. You know what it would have been if they would have drafted Caleb Downs? It would have been 7.5, over -120, under +100. In case you're not smart enough to realize what I'm trying to tell you, it wouldn't have made one GD bit of difference. Just saying. All right. A reminder before we get to what's really important here this morning. And we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. I am going to try to hold the show to 90 minutes this morning, but you know what happens when I usually try to do that. It usually goes an hour and 40, hour 50. Got a lot of comments to get to. It's Mono Monday, but a reminder, if you haven't already, I'm spicy this Monday morning. I'm telling you, sometimes social media just riles me up, baby. Probably shouldn't read social media, spend Sunday night reading social media. If you like what you hear, and judging by the attendance, you don't. No, I'm just kidding. Please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. We would love it if you could help us. You know what? One thing, though, we love debate here on this show. And we love debate with the people who watch the show. I'm sure we're going to get into it to some extent this morning. Again, I haven't looked at a single comment. I do not read comments until it's time to get there. But sometimes you just know what's going to be in there. Sometimes I'm surprised. And sometimes you just know what are going to be in the comments. I know it's going to be in the comments this morning. We're going to get into all that in just a minute. But anyway, if you enjoy having debate, because we welcome your debate, you type them in, you type your comments in, whether you watch it on YouTube or Facebook. Again, we prefer if you watch it on YouTube. Consider supporting the channel. That is the best way to do it, by first subscribing to it. Tell your friends about it. Tell people, you hang out with, people you sit on the couch with during Saints games. Tell them about it. We'd love for them to be part of it. We're live every Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. And once the season starts on September the 13th, we'll be live on Sunday mornings as well at 9 a.m. If you want to talk to me outside of the show, if you're watching after the fact, we would love your comments. You can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or email me, jim@jimderry.com. You know what's different about the show because we just told you. You talk to us, we talk back to you. And got to tell you about my friends. You know what's different about our friends is they are better than just about anyone else in this local area. That's right. We got to tell you about them. We want to tell you about them. Especially, we're going to start with Evangeline Securities. How about our friends at Evangeline Securities? Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you, someone you know, someone you love, someone you just told to subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. They're trying to sell their business. They want to retire. They want to go to Fiji, where they can still watch the Dattitude podcast, by the way. It's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. He will start by scheduling a complimentary evaluation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you will be well informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that, we'll fill you in more later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. You can also check out my friend, you know who he is. We're going to tell you anyway. You got to listen to him. Let's hear me out. Joe DiStefano and Level Up Insurance.
Louisiana, we're leveling up, and people are taking notice. Our team has grown its sales by 67% since this time last year, but don't worry, we're still searching for ambitious people who want more out of life than the 9-to-5 routine. With Level Up Louisiana, we offer real support, real training, real opportunity, no corporate fluff, no empty promises. If you're hungry for growth, tired of ceilings, or simply ready for a change that actually moves your life forward, this might be your moment. This sounds like you? Scan the QR code on the screen or email us at louisiana.division@ushacareers.com. That's louisiana.division@ushacareers.com. You can also call or text Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132. With offices in Mandeville and Baton Rouge, you build your future with Level Up Louisiana.
Let's get on with the show. Before we get started with Saints talk, got a couple things to show you. Had a fun Friday afternoon. I think I told you that I was doing this to show you how desperate my alma mater is, Archbishop Shaw High School. They asked me to be a celebrity waiter at their event on Friday. Had a blast. The way it worked is all of us, quote unquote, celebrity waiters got paired up with a football player. I think they were all seniors. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. Anyway, I know mine was a senior. And I had a great time. My partner for the day was Alan Red Shaw, who is the starting quarterback for the defending state runner-up in Division II. Will they win it? They're the favorite. That's what I hear. They're the favorites to win it. Reds worked hard all offseason to hone his quarterback skills, even though he's probably going to be defensive back at the next level. By the way, Tulane Greenies, are you listening? He says that's his first choice. Tulane, pay attention. Alan Redshaw, one heck of an athlete. We had a great time on Friday. I thank him. And then also a regular on the show, fellow classmate of the class of 1985, Father Steve Leake was there. We had a great time. Got to catch up a little bit and actually see him in person. First time in a while we had seen each other, maybe since the reunion last year. So about a year ago, been a little bit. And speaking of reunions, a lot of members of the class of 1985 from Archbishop Shaw High School. Look how fast I can count. The 12 of them. 12 of us. 2 of us were celebrity waiters. You see Mark Williams on the left. He used to be the superintendent of Archdiocese schools. And then next to him is George Hebert, by the way, who 2 former Shaw principals there on the left. That is scary that 2 of these guys were former Shaw principals. Anyway, had a great time on Friday. I want to thank my alma mater for allowing me to be a celebrity waiter. It was a blast. Can't wait to do it again next year. I got to be honest. I didn't know what to expect, and I had an absolute great time. I don't know that my table loved me. They gave me the table that I was waiting on was the class of 74. I think they thought I was a terrible waiter, which, by the way, I am. There's a reason why I'm not in the service industry. I started out doing that long time ago, but ain't my bag, but I did have fun anyway. I'm sorry, class of 74, if you were waiting for a beer a little too long or your cheesecake. It is what it is. Let's get rolling here. Also, RIP real quick to the great Tommy John. I don't know if you saw this on Saturday. The man who has a surgery named after him. You know you're important when you have a surgery named after you. Tommy John died Saturday at the age of 83. And so our hearts go out to his family. I got to give props to someone I don't really want to give props to, but he deserves it. How about Joshua Baez? Did you see this? Bashed my Cubs around, and I'm really worried that it was a momentum changer. The St. Louis Cardinals are fired up now. First player in Major League history, the homer in his first 3 at-bats, and that first one especially was not a cheapie. This kid hit 36 home runs, I think, in the minors in AAA this year. Came up, bam, bam, bam. Beat the Cubs around and could be a force for a long time to come. This kid is special from what I've seen. So look, you got to tip the cap, but they put a chain, this gold chain with a big medallion on it around the neck of someone when he hits a home run. And obviously he got the chain 3 times. And as a Cubs fan, I'm trying to be nice, so I don't want to really say what I want to say about what they could do with that chain. Anyhow, moving on. And then lastly, in the world of baseball, before we get to sports here, before we get to football, Paul Skeens, you LSU fans, did you see? Looked like Paul Skeens got the old dead arm, that ain't good. He has definitely struggled through the last 6 weeks or so. You start wondering, how much did the World Baseball Classic play a role in some of these guys in their arms? I don't know. Is there a better way to do the World Baseball Classic? Does it really have an effect? How about you just let pitchers pitch? I thought the 100 pitch per game thing was going to solve all the problems. If you only let them pitch, what are we going to do? Maybe we should only let them pitch like 50 pitches a game. You know that's going to probably come at some point. At some point within the next 10 years, we might have pitchers only pitching like 3 innings a game max. They'll have to change. You qualify for a win if you make it through the third. And I'm only half kidding because that may be coming. So anyway, Paul Skeens with the dead arm. The Pirates aren't going anywhere anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if they just shut him down soon. I mean, they've temporarily shut him down. They may end up shutting him down for good. Some other things around the NFL before we get to the Saints. Did you see Anthony Richardson? Now, this is going to kind of relate to something that Saints fans have been talking about. Anthony Richardson has been telling the Colts he wants to be traded. Why? So he can be a backup somewhere else? I mean, I think Gabe and I said this a while back. Anthony Richardson was never going to be, not only was he not going to be a starting quarterback in this league, it's too early to tell. No, it's not. He wasn't that great of a quarterback in Florida. I never understood his meteoric rise up the draft charts. And now he's asking to be traded. He's asking to be traded. And behind the scenes, the Colts are saying, no, we're not trading him. You know why they're not trading him? There's a real simple reason why they're not trading him. Because no one wants him. What are you going to get for Anthony Richardson? And then let's just say you can get a 5th or a 6th round pick for him. Do you think you're going to trade, what was he, the 4th or 5th pick of the draft or whatever the hell he was? First, top 10 for sure. I don't remember. I think it was 4th pick of the draft. You're going to trade the 4th pick of the draft and just admit you were that wrong? I mean, you're already making him the backup quarterback. You did last year when Daniel Jones played. They stunk when Daniel Jones got hurt. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it just goes to show when we talk about trade values and people are out there saying they should just trade the rat. We're going to get to that. Some of the mindset of what y'all think players are worth is warped. A lot of times there simply is no value for players. Or if there is, it's very minuscule. Again, more talk coming on Spencer Rattler coming up in a minute. And I'm not trying to hate on Spencer Rattler. I mean, does him versus Zach Wilson. Again, 1 preseason game. That's coming up. A couple other things around the NFL before we just get to the Saints. We've got to get to that poll question very soon. Former LSU safety Jamal Adams, he's out for the season. And you got to be honest, when you're 30 years old and you leave with a knee injury, you got to start wondering, is that the end of the line? I mean, this isn't your daddy's NFL. I mean, if you're 30 years old and you get a knee injury, and I get it, safety, he could come back. We'll see if he does or not. But his career is certainly in jeopardy. Vikings beat the Giants 13-10 in preseason is obviously just kind of the secondary story like it is for most preseason games. That was an interesting game as well because you saw that Kyler Murray has won the job in Minnesota. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jackson Dart came in and played, and you wonder why starters don't play in preseason a lot. That's why you see what the Saints do. The Saints got Tyler Shucks reps in the scrimmage where he was way less likely. Starters way less likely to get hurt in scrimmages because, of course, there's contact, but it's not quite the same. Also for the Saints, they're playing their scrimmages on grass. At least they did here in New Orleans. Scrimmaging the Cowboys and the Rams this week. Tomorrow, the Cowboys, I believe the Rams on Thursday before they actually play the preseason game. It will be very similar to it was the schedule this week is supposed to be very similar to what it was last week. You'll have the starters probably playing a good bit in the scrimmages. And then when you get to the preseason game, it's going to be reserves. Now, what I'm hearing is they're going to treat week 3 of the preseason sort of like a regular season week almost. Now, from what I understand, starters will get some decent playing time in that final week of the preseason. Will they play a half? Who knows? It probably depends on the game flow, but we'll see. Anyway, I think that's the only time you're going to see Tyler Shuck in a game. It's the only time you're probably going to see Travis Etienne in a game, in a preseason game, and maybe you will or maybe you won't see Alvin Kamara. I have no idea. But Jackson Dart, going back to why we got here, Jackson Dart concussion check. Now, he's probably fine. He didn't seem to hit his head on the play that he got just drilled. But, I mean, it goes to, again, preseason worthless. Yeah, I don't care that Zach Wilson shined, and maybe if he ends up making the team, you can point to games like Saturday, and if he has another good one, you can. I don't care. Preseason is worthless. Do all this stuff in a scrimmage, in a controlled scrimmage where you're much less likely to get players there. Is there injury risk? Of course, there's injury risk in practice. We see it all the time. We just talked about Breece Hall and him walking off the field for the Jets, or being taken off the field anyway, with a non-contact injury. It happens whether you're in practice. You have to practice. I get it. But to me, there's just so many things. The only thing that can happen in preseason, or the majority of the things that can happen in preseason, are bad. I talked about this last week. I'll say it again. Get rid of preseason. I think they're going to do it. For those of you care, and when I say I think they're going to do it, I don't think it's going to be next year, but I do think that within the next 5 to 10 years, there won't be a preseason. I think there'll be 18 regular season games, 2 bye weeks, no preseason, and scrimmages. And teams will set up their own scrimmages, and they'll probably be televised, and it'll be a way to, they'll have structured scrimmages, which will be kind of a hybrid between the scrimmage we have now and preseason. Anyway. And lastly, Ian Rappaport reporting this morning that Aaron Donald working out again for the Rams. We keep talking about this until it happens. We'll see. He said, quote, not yet, and that they're going through the process. Apparently, it's up to Aaron. I don't know if Aaron Donald wants to play. Again, how effective is a 36, 37, who's been out of the league for a few years? He's Aaron Donald. I don't care. At some point, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be Aaron Donald, someone you consider him the best edge rusher ever. I mean, of course, we have recency bias, whether he is or whether he isn't. Let's just say that he is. Let's say Aaron Donald is the greatest edge rusher ever. I mean, does that mean he's still a top 10 edge rusher? No. He's not. He could. I mean, I get it. DT, defensive lineman. I mean, look this up for me, Gabe. See how many. I want to know how many TFLs he has in his career. How many sacks he has in his career, in games played. And I'd like to know. And I think he's 2 years out of the league. Tell me the last game he played, like the date of the last game he played. So I want to bring this back. I'm going to come back to this. My point is, everyone's crowning the Rams, and, Ty Simpson looked great. And if Matt Stafford goes down, do we think that Ty Simpson's going to keep this team as a Super Bowl contender? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. The point is, we keep talking about if Aaron Donald comes back, blah, blah. I mean, does it really make – they're already ridiculously absurd along the front anyway. Is that the last step, the last thing that pushes the Rams over the top? I don't know. We talked about the NFC West on Friday, and I just, I'll put them up there at number one, just in the NFC West, and I got Seattle too. But it just seems too easy, right? And I always tell you when you're talking about making picks for the season, there's a reason why too easy doesn't always happen. Gabe Henderson sends me these numbers: 111 sacks in 154 games. Had 176 tackles for loss, more than one a game. That's a lot in the NFL. I mean, obviously, he's fantastic. His last game in the NFL was New Year's Eve, 2023. I mean, that's a long time to not play football. You're talking about, what, 32 months without football? Now, he's Aaron Donald, so I'm sure the dude, like, stayed in shape and all that. But you're talking about 32 months without playing football. Can you come back at your age? And again, live TV. We do this on the air live. I want to know exactly how old he is. He's 35, which isn't ridiculously old. But when you go 32 months without playing football, I don't know. We'll see. Today's poll question as we move into the Saints here, and I knew I took way too long before I got to the Saints, but we're going to get into preseason game talk, and we're going to talk about Jordyn Tyson, of course. But we're going to lead off with preseason stuff, and that's where we get along. And I know I see how many ridiculously comments we have. Tons of comments. I'm going to get to them, I promise. But speaking of comments, you type your answer in the comments, especially if you're new and you don't know how this works. But if you want to answer today's poll question, you just type whatever number you want. You don't type in someone's name. You don't type in #1 or NO.1 or nothing. No, just the number. Who did the most to improve their stock on Saturday? Type in the number 1 if you think it was Zach Wilson. Type in the number 2 if you think it was Trey Palmer. Type in the number 3 if you think it was Bob Means. Type in the number 4 if you think it was defensive lineman, edge rusher, Michael Heldman. Nah, Gabe, you're good. You're good. I'm going to get into it because and I'm going to vote in my own poll. I'm not going to do it yet, though. You can leave that poll up. The answers again are, who did the most improve their stock on Saturday? Is it Zach Wilson, who was in a fight with Spencer Rattler for QB2? What happens if Zach Wilson wins the QB2 job? Does that mean Spencer Rattler goes to the practice squad? Does he make it to the practice squad? Because you got to expose him to waivers. All you people who think they should trade Spencer Rattler, would somebody claim him? And conversely, if Spencer Rattler, wins the job, Zach Wilson, he's probably not going to. I mean, can you put him on the practice squad? Would you want to put him on the practice squad? Would you keep 3 quarterbacks? I don't think this team can. I think we keep talking about all these things they're going to keep. I don't think you can keep 3 quarterbacks on your active roster. That's in my opinion. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I just don't think it's going to happen. So who did the most to improve their stock on Saturday? Type in the number 1 if you think it's Zach Wilson. Type in the number 2 if you think it's Trey Palmer. Type in the number 3 if you think it's Bob Means. Type in the number 4 if you think it's Michael Heldman. I'm going to give my vote now. And I told you, as we got started with all this, that I started working on this show before I really dove into the stats. I didn't really dive into the stats until I said, you know what, let's make a little graphic here. And I saw what they were. And my eye test told me, I think what's going to happen is when you're talking about who's going to make this team a receiver, let's just say they keep 6, okay? When you come down between 5 and 6, it might be they might keep 2 of these 3, but I think it's going to come down to, it might be one of these 3. I think it's going to come down to Kevin Austin, Bob Means, Trey Palmer. And if we care that much, again, I don't put a ton of stock into preseason games. I don't know how to explain it more. But my answer is, I think Trey Palmer did the most to improve his stock. Not just, now I get it, 4 catches for 33 yards. He was targeted the most out of anyone. He had 6 targets. But not just his kickoff returns, 2 for 44 yards. I think that Trey Palmer is more versatile than Bob Means. And when I think if it comes down to Palmer versus Means in the end, I think Palmer's going to win. Obviously, I'm in the vast minority here, and this poll is all over the place. I think it's interesting. And let's get to, so by the way, breaking news sort of, great. Gabe Henderson says, strained groin for Breece Hall, nothing too serious. Aaron Glenn says. All right, let's get to the comments this morning. UBN, $20 super chat. Thank you so much. I better skip number 555. You can only give Jaden high 4s. Can you get a dime? No Derry's dime in the preseason. Sorry. Hold on a second. I don't know what's going on, but I got so excited that UBN continues to help this show that I'm a little verklempt. I got a frog in my throat. Something's in my throat. The good, the bad, and the ugly is kind of what we're talking about this morning. Thank you so much, UBN and everyone else. Morning, Rocky. There we go. Do we have something brewing at QB2? I mean, it's been brewing. We've talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, this didn't just happen. The QB2 thing is not new. I know Gabe disagreed with me and maybe still does and probably still does, but you didn't bring Zach Wilson in for nothing, okay? You brought him in because you thought he has a good chance to make this team. There's absolutely 0.0 reason to bring in Zach Wilson if you're 100% sure that Spencer Rattler is your backup quarterback. It's just not. And they didn't bring in Zach Wilson so they could trade Spencer Rattler. Other people were saying that before. We'll get into that later. Who dat, Jason? Good morning. Kyle Sherman's here. How was that wedding? Good morning. Good take on Rat versus Wilson coming up. If I can talk, there'll be a good take. UBN. Can Tyson wear the helmet thing to protect his hamstring? You know, they should have that. They can make them for your head. They should be able to make them for your legs. I'm just saying. I might have to bring you on, Gabe. Choking here. I'm all right now, but if I can't fix this in a hurry, I have to bring you on. I'm losing viewers here. They don't want to hear me choke. Charles says, good morning. Only one game. It wasn't look better than right. Exactly. Only one game. One game. What else we got here? I don't want to read them all because I got to get rolling here. I know we're way behind. Who else we got this morning? Brian Cavett. Happy Dat R&B and R Monday. You know what? We got some beans in the crock pot right now. I'm just saying. There's nothing like home-cooked beans, and they are in the crock pot right now. He liked what he saw. Is Rattler a guy who looks great in practice, can't get it done when it counts? That's the feeling we have. I mean, he is 1-13. Rocky says he wants his QB1 and QB2 to be his guys, not inherited guys. Who did he bring in? Was it Rad? I mean, we said that last year, but then he made Rad his starting quarterback. Again, I find myself in a strange situation because y'all know how I feel. I don't think Spencer Rattler is a future starting quarterback for anyone, Saints or anyone else. Is he a solid backup? Yeah, I think he can be a fine backup. But Zach Wilson at the same time hasn't proved like he can be much more than a backup. It just kind of depends. I personally, Rocky, and everyone else who thinks this, I don't think that Spencer Rattler not being drafted by Kellen Moore is going to play an effect or have any effect on what the Saints decide to do at QB2. Now, Zach Wilson may win the job because he won the job. But I don't think that – I mean, Zach Wilson wasn't drafted by Kellen Moore either just because he was brought in. Again, if he brought him in, he brought him in for a reason. Maybe he just doesn't think Spencer Rattler is ready to be the QB2. Or not ready. Obviously, he's ready. He's been with this team for 2 years. Maybe he just doesn't think that Spencer Rattler is good enough to be his QB2. Maybe that's the way to put it. Maybe he's seen enough. Maybe he saw enough before this season started. Again, things we're going to get to. Anna Varner, good morning, my friend. Glad you're here. Ask Callie, good morning. Yes, UBN is here. Back there. Good morning, Alvin. Appreciate you coming in. Sean says, Rattler looks like he made no progress from last season. Wilson may possibly jump him for number 2 spot. Again, you can't put too much into preseason. But if let's just say they do this again. I mean, you got to think that there's a good chance Zach Wilson's going to start this week's game against the Rams, right? I mean, we're not going to see Tyler. I would be shocked if Tyler Shuck plays one series Saturday because he's probably going to play a half or so in the third preseason game. But it's kind of where we are now is kind of where we were with QB1 last year. QB2's in the same boat. What happens if they look the same? What happens? Spencer Rattler's numbers aren't terrible. He was 8 of 11. Spencer is doing what he's been doing. He's just kind of a dump-off guy. That's what he was doing last year. Now, when he would throw a deep ball, he's actually got a really pretty deep ball, I think. But I don't know if he gets rattled, pardon the pun, but he looks for his dump-off way too soon. And Zach Wilson threw the ball deep, I thought, pretty well. I thought his vision was better. Gonna get to that. Just saying. Yep, pumpkin spice, baby. Can't have it soon enough. You can't get it soon enough. Here we go. Oh boy. And I know he's trolling. I know he's trolling, but every now and then I show a troll comment. Mark Satanovich, absolutely. The Rat got a raw deal. How did Rattler get a raw deal? The wide receiver dropped his pass. Because no one dropped any passes for Zach Wilson. They only dropped them for Rattler. Boy. We never even brought the kicker up. I don't know how much we're going to talk about kicker today because I really don't care. I mean, we'll get to that soon enough. I'm trying to roll through here. Paul Laporte. Zach Wilson. Man, y'all really want to talk about quarterback today, huh? Zach Wilson should change his jersey. This might be the comment of the day. I meant to put this in the script and I forgot. 100% Paul Laporte. In fact, I meant to make Gabe, see if you could do this. I don't know if you can do this or not on short no notice, basically. But I think Pro Football Reference has this. Can you give me a list of all the players who have worn number 4 for the Saints in history? I know that Steve Walsh wore 4. And obviously, sorry, I don't think Lance is here, so I think I could say it. Derek Carr wore 4. But yeah, he needs to change his number. You can't win. Dude, if you're going to make this team, then change your number. I 100% agree. Kyle saying his daughter's wedding was great. He didn't watch the game. Priority. You got priorities. You chose your daughter's wedding over Saints, Jaguars preseason game. Are you kidding me? She intentionally chose an August date so it doesn't conflict with LSU football. By the way, one of my best friends stood in the wedding, got married on the day of the Bluegrass Miracle, and I still haven't forgiven him. Just saying. No, you can read him. Hold on. Let me. You know what? I'll do it now. Hang on, real quick. Go ahead and read them real quick, Gabe.
All right. I might butcher some of the pronunciations on these, but that's why I have you here. The first player to ever wear number 4 for the Saints was Mike Kofer.
Oh, the kicker.
Walsh.
Yep.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer, the punter.
Toby Gowen.
Toby Gowen.
Todd Bowman.
Another punter. Todd Bowman, a terrible backup quarterback. Go ahead.
Billy Cundiff.
Wasn't he a kicker? I think he was a kicker.
Glenn Pakalak.
I don't know who the hell that is.
Brandon Fields, Blake Gillikin, Derek Carr,
the punter,
Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Zach Wilson.
So those are the only people to wear 4 in franchise history.
They are according
that is
to
a real
Pro Football Reference. The first person to wear number 4 started in 1987.
Wow, nobody wore number 4 for the Saints for the first 20 years of their existence.
Apparently not. I can check that for you if you want me.
Well, I mean, these are probably all players who actually played in a game. I'm sure players wore 4 in like a preseason game or something. That's kind of crazy. So anyway,
let's see.
Wow.
Let's look up. I'm trying to look up. Let's see. Saints.
Live TV.
They don't have numbers here.
All right, well, we're gonna do some more diving in that, but that is one hell of a list. And yes, Zach Wilson should 100% change his number by listening to that.
Like
list.
a number 4.
Yeah, he kind of does. All right, we'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right.
Gabe will be back in just a little bit. So anyway, comment of the day, Paul Laporte, you are 100% right. That number should be changed. Cherry, glad you're here this morning. What else we got? I'm sorry if I'm skipping over a few. Ray says all we can do is wait and see with Tyson. 100%. 100%. That kind of leads me into kind of want to talk about I'm going to get back to preseason game in a minute because there's a lot of things I want to talk about from the preseason game. I'm going to kind of be all over a little bit here this morning. But, who didn't want Jordyn Tyson? I get it. You didn't want Jordyn Tyson. But who were like begging, don't draft Jordyn Tyson. They're like horse flies at a barbecue. Get the hell out of here. They're like, shoo, fly. I mean, nobody knows jack crap is my point. Again, I said this on Thursday's show when we got the breaking news, quote unquote breaking news. And I've said it since then to people who I've talked to. According to multiple accounts, he jogged off the field. If that's the case, it ain't that bad. If he jogged off the field, it ain't that bad. Again, I told you earlier in the show, if you weren't here, the win total, 7.5, minus 120 to the over. You know what they would have been had they drafted Caleb Downs, and Caleb Downs doesn't get hurt, and everything is exactly the same, except Caleb Downs is playing in the preseason. It would still be 7.5 at minus 120. This is a year where you're talking about setting yourself up for the future. Even if Tyson misses a game or two or three, it was still the right pick for this team at this time. I mean, there are multiple reasons. You could factor in literally dozens of reasons. But number one is they continue. What was the philosophy going into this? The philosophy was we're going to set up Tyler Shuck. We're going to have as many weapons around Tyler Shuck as possible. Last year, it didn't really matter who wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 was, because after Chris Olave, they all kind of stunk. I mean, no offense, but you were counting on Mason Tipton to be decent. You were counting on Kevin Austin to come through. Kevin Austin may still make this team, but this is a different year. You look at who this team's going to have at wide receiver. It's going to be a tough cut at wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 6. Are you going to keep 5 receivers and 4 tight ends? Or are you going to keep 6 receivers and 3 tight ends? And judging by the fact that I hardly saw good old Maliki the other day, by the way, I think we're seeing more and more. They're not going to. Maliki Matavayo or whatever, how you ever pronounce his name. I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible at some of these Saints names. But judging by what I've seen so far, Maliki is practice squad. Will he be active for some games? Sure. Will he be there ready if one of the tight ends gets hurt? Of course he will. Oscar Delp clearly is going to play a decent amount. Glad to see him on the field and getting a chance to score. But if you keep 6 receivers and 3 tight ends, which is what I'm guessing right now they're going to do, think about how different it is when you get towards the bottom end of these receivers. They're way more talent. Let's just say all right, for argument's sake, let's say Bub Means is going to be the 6th wide receiver and barely make it. Bub Means, if he doesn't get hurt, Bub Means is going to be counted on to be the wide receiver 3 last year at this time. People were talking about Devon Vele. I can't believe they wasted a pick on him. Devon Vele is the wide receiver 3 now, but you didn't know that last year. You thought Bub Means was going to be your wide. You were counting on Bub Means. Now, I think it's 50-50 if Bub Means makes this team or not. So that's the difference in wide receiver this year and last year. They're surrounding Tyler Shuck with as many weapons as possible. They went out there and got a running back. Alvin Kamara is RB2. RB3? Does it matter? Who knows? Did we see RB3? Is Audric Estime? I mean, they didn't even run the ball. They ran the ball what? They ran the ball 16 times, which I find interesting, by the way. Is Ty Chandler going to make this team on special teams and become the RB4? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I don't think you can keep Barry and Brown and Ty Chandler. The point is, when you go and look through this team and you talk about Jordyn Tyson, you're expecting him. The reason, again, why they drafted him, number one reason, surround your quarterback, surround your franchise quarterback with as many weapons as possible, because, frankly, he didn't have a whole lot of weapons last year. and they took one giant leap. That's why they took Jordyn Tyson instead of Caleb Downs. And then it was the right pick again. If this were a different time and a different era, if you go back and look and, if they had 3 or 4 solid receivers and weapons for their quarterback, then maybe Caleb Downs would have been a better choice. You look at the Dallas Cowboys, who have Caleb Downs. I mean, they have ridiculous weapons at wide receiver. They don't need a wide receiver. They wouldn't have taken Jordyn Tyson if he were still there when it came to be their pick. Yeah, they got lucky and got the guy they wanted. Caleb Downs was the right pick for the Dallas Cowboys at that time. I mean, Saints, that's not what the Saints needed more than they needed. What they needed more than anything was more weapons on offense. Not only that, we've said this before, as I'm going to get back to the comments in just a minute. But when you talk about the difference between wide receiver contracts and cornerback / safety, whatever you want to call it, Caleb Downs, defensive back. The top wide receivers, other than quarterback, they're just ridiculous with their contracts. They're making about $10 million more a year. The top ones are. In 4 years, with inflation and the way the salary cap is going to go up, you're talking about what could potentially mean a difference of $50 to $60 million difference of a contract. If you're talking about a 4-year contract, 4-year extension, $50 to $60 million less over the course of 4 years. You get your wide receiver 1 or 1B or whatever it is, and you pair them with your wide receiver 1 that you just signed to an extension. And now you have 2 guys making a combined whatever slot. Tell me exactly what Tyson's slot is, Gabe, if you can. What does Tyson slot into with his contract? But so my point is, instead of having to go get a wide receiver in free agency and drafted Caleb Downs because you just don't have enough weapons. So you would have to go spend money on a wide receiver that you don't have. So that's part of the deal. The contract situation, again, and you're talking about something later on. 4 years, $32.5 million is where Jordyn Tyson slots in. So, I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a math genius. But $8 million a year. So for $8 million a year, you got, but he could be hurt. Yeah, so he could be. It's the right pick, the right time. I'll say it again, and I'm going to say it again after today. I know it's going to happen. I'm going to have to say it over and over and over again. Aaron Michael, everyone fire their tractors up. It's Dattitude time. We are the official show of Kubota and John Deere. Just saying. We are. Chad Gage, I see you back there. Ryan Ashe, good morning. Hope Tyson's injury is minor, but it's not a good look. It's not quite deserving of the I told you so yet. It's not a good look. I mean, of course it's not a good look. You never want your number 1 draft pick to be injured. People have no idea. Ryan, I'm definitely not talking about you. I'm talking about the frustration I've seen on social media this week. It's like everyone knows there isn't a person out there. There's not one single person, at least not anyone that has any merit whatsoever, that's saying that he's going to miss a regular season game. They're saying he could miss a regular season game. I could weigh 210 pounds by New Year's Eve, but it's probably not going to happen. It could. There's all kinds of coulds. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. All these people will turn into crickets if Jordyn Tyson starts week 1 and has 6 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. You won't hear a peep from people. Just like, we had somebody come on last week and say something along the lines of, there were people, everybody was in Tyler Shuck's corner this time last year. No, they weren't. I wasn't even in Tyler Shuck's corner last year. I thought he should start, but I wasn't necessarily in his corner. I didn't think Tyler Shuck was going to turn out to be what Tyler Shuck was. Again, I get it. Small sample size. He still may not. But I didn't think Tyler Shuck was going to become sensation and be viewed as a franchise quarterback possibility this soon. Nobody did. No realistic person did. But yet that's where we are right now. And people stopped talking about it as we went along. The Spencer Rattler lovers, yeah, they disappeared. The Tyler Shuck haters also disappeared. And it's going to be the same thing with Jordyn Tyson if Jordyn Tyson turns into be the player that I think he's going to be. If Jordyn Tyson comes out and has, you think about Chris Olave's rookie season, which was excellent. If he has that type of season as a rookie, they'll forget what happened. Remember 2 years ago when we're talking about, all we could talk about is Chris Olave. I can't wait till they get rid of him. I can't wait till his contract is gone. He's a bum. He's got 82 concussions. He's got to go. Well, now most people, not everybody, but most people are happy that they signed him to a long-term contract, a long-term extension. Why are they happy? Because it's the right thing to do, and Chris Olave has proven that he can be a wide receiver one, or is a wide receiver one. I mean, it's just, it's way too early to be out there saying, I told you so. Here he is. He's injured. Shut up. Shoo, fly, shoo. Nathan Thomas, you're a little late, but you're here. You made it. I'm glad you're here. You're going to have fun with us this morning. I say this morning, we should be beyond halfway through the show, but a lot to talk about. Let's see. What else we got going on here? You want Anthony Richardson to feed the pigeons. Sean says Rattler's trade value went to 0.0 after that first preseason performance. It was 0.0 anyway. I'm just telling you. It was 0.0 anyway. I've been telling y'all this for months. Gabe can pull receipts if we need to pull receipts. I've been telling y'all this for months. There is zero trade value for Spencer Rattler. There wasn't any before, and there's none now. You'd be lucky if you got a 7th-round pick and a bagel. I'd prefer the bagel. You can give me either one you want. I'm just saying. Logan, congratulations, by the way, on your promotion. Good job working for Baton Rouge Television Station. Glad to have you here. 2-part question. What is my prediction on who the 4 running backs will be this year on the 53? And what is my take on former UFL star Jordyn Price playing a role this season? Look, I'm going to start with the last one first. How can you not like what you've seen from Jordyn? Now, Jordyn Price isn't an overreaction from just the one preseason game. Jordyn Price has been shining in practice. Here, remember in the beginning when I talked about it's one thing if you shine in a preseason game, but we haven't seen it in practice and scrimmage, which is why let's don't get too fired up about Zach Wilson just yet and just completely dismiss Spencer Rattler yet. Okay, y'all know that I think Zach Wilson and if I had to pick, I'd pick Zach Wilson anyway. Okay. However, I'm not ready to dive off and tell you that's where I'm going. It's certainly not going to be from one preseason game. I'm not going to judge. Let's let this whole thing play out. However, you know who's been great throughout practices, throughout scrimmages, and now one preseason game? All 3 of those things? Jordyn Price. He's been fantastic. And he was excellent in the preseason game on Saturday with an interception and a pass breakup. A lot of people talking about Michael Heldman, who's in the poll. By the way, let's show the poll question again for people who came in late with a chance to vote. I'm not ready to close it yet, so you still got time to vote. Who did the most to improve their stock on Saturday? Now, I didn't have room for 5, so I did not leave Jordyn Price out on purpose, but I wanted to get both receivers in there. So if you think it's Jordyn Price, you could just say, I think Jordyn Price was better than all these. But Jordyn Price hasn't. So an answer to that question is, I think he has an excellent chance to make this team. But who did the most to improve their stock? And I think that Jordyn Price did it. He started improving his stock before Saturday. I'm going to tell you about him in a little bit. Who did the most improve their stock on Saturday? Type in the number 1 if you think the answer is Zach Wilson. Type in the number 2 if you think the answer is Trey Palmer. Type in the number 3 if you think the answer is Bub Means. And type in the number 4 if you think the answer is Michael Heldman. You can leave that up on the screen for a minute. And again, I think the answer is I've already said I think it's Trey Palmer. As far as who improved their stock most, I think it's Trey Palmer. Because if he's going to make this team, he needs to shine in all three. He needs to have great practices, great scrimmages, great preseason games. And that's why it was important to see what he had up there. We'll give you the final results in a little bit. I'm going to leave that on the screen for a little bit so you can vote. Aaron Michael, trade him to Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't want Spencer Rattler. Why would they want Spencer Rattler? By the way, the other answer to your question, the 4 running backs, Logan, I'm not quite there yet. And I certainly can't judge anything that I saw in a preseason game because they didn't run the ball. So I don't know the answer to that yet. I keep forgetting to show the Dats Diner thing. A-Town wants to know if we can get a UBN segment sponsored by Dats Diner. Hot. We'll work on it. Maybe. What else we got now? I'm skipping across. I'm trying to catch up and get as close as I can. Steve Clampett had 3 last year and about every year. So what do you mean you can't have 3 on the roster? I assume you're talking about tight end. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what you mean. This comment is 25 minutes old. I think that's what I was talking about 25 minutes ago. And that's not what I said. Let's see. Gabe's telling me something here. You mean quarterback? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. They did not have 3 quarterbacks on the active roster the entire year. And the reason why I would say that this year, just because about every year, they're not on the active 53 all the time. You have emergency quarterbacks. You have some on the practice squad. They ended up putting Hainer, I believe, on the practice squad for a lot of the time. Gabe, is there a way to look that? I don't know if there's a way to look that up or not. Is there? Emergency quarterback change has made it so you don't have to have 3 active on game days. Exactly, which is my point. So you're not going to have 3 quarterbacks on this roster active, except in rare situations. Now, you may have 3 active if you think that, if you don't want to expose anyone of the practice squad, you don't want to expose them, period. You also might have 3 if one of your quarterbacks is kind of banged up and you're worried and you think you need 3. I mean, that happens, but Ahmed says he thinks they're keeping 3 quarterbacks, 6 receivers. We keep talking about, I guess my point, Steve, going back to what you said about the head 3 last year, my point is this. With this team, we keep talking about this guy's going to make this team. This guy's going to make the team. This guy's going to make the team. You've got 53 spots, dude. They can't all make the team. I mean, last night I'm watching the wrap-up shows. Oh, Ty Chandler made his case for the team. Ty Chandler's probably not making this team as well as he played. Gabe, Hainer was on the practice squad last year. Exactly. I think he might have been active for a couple games, but they did not have 3 active quarterbacks for very many games. I will go look if someone reminds me, if I forget, remind me, I'll look it up. Not on live TV. I'm not going to look it up, but Brian says he tried to trade Rattler for a 6th or 7th for maybe a depth piece like O-line. I'm not trading Rattler. I mean, yeah, I did not do it, Gabe. And you just made me do it. Rob wants to know, does the money come into the quarterback to the practice squad decision? No way they should pay full price to put either. I doubt it. To me, once you get in the season, the salary cap is pretty much, I don't know. Kent says Wilson may have an edge at QB2 since he was brought in by the staff. I mean, I think he is an edge at QB2, not because he was brought in by the staff per se, but that he was brought in at all. I mean, again, if you think Spencer Rattler, I've said this for months. If you think Spencer Rattler is your QB2, if you're even 80% sure that Spencer Rattler is your QB2, you don't bring in a Zach Wilson. There's no reason to whatsoever. They brought him in because they don't necessarily think Spencer Rattler is a QB2. I'll read it one more time, then I'm going to take the poll question off the screen. We'll close it, Gabe, when you come on in a little bit. But who did the most improve their stock? On Saturday, type in the number 1 if your answer is Zach Wilson. Type in the number 2 if your answer is Trey Palmer. Type in the number 3 if your answer is Bub Means. And type in the number 4 if your answer is Michael Heldman. And if you got someone else, those are the only 4 that you can really vote for right now. My opinion. There's those 4. What else we got as I'm trying to catch up as best I can. Ray Barra, good point, because I actually meant to bring this up. Didn't type this in the script either. Ray says in his presser, Wilson said how easy this system is for quarterbacks. That's a sign that Rattler can't take advantage of it. I mean, he hasn't been able to take advantage of it. That's kind of my point. Andrew, I hope I don't butcher your last name, but Andrew Ladrigas. If I butchered it, I apologize. Watching on Facebook, Spencer holds the ball too long. I agree. Never improved his protection of the football. Jaden Price had the dome buzzing. Yeah, they did. I agree with that assessment. All those things. San Luis Obispo, who dat? Good morning. Belated hello to all of us here on a Monday morning. So glad you're here. Chad Gage says his only concern is this. The hamstring seems to be going back to Tyson. The hamstring, who clearly... Chad, I don't remember what everybody wanted, but I certainly remember what you wanted. And I know it wasn't Jordyn Tyson in the draft. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that makes your opinion invalid, because it doesn't. But I'm just saying I remember who you didn't want. I'm pretty sure you were in the Downs camp. Says his only concern is this. The hamstring seems to be a chronic issue, so what can be done to heal his issue to help prevent this? I'm sure they're doing everything. I'm sure they are. I get it. He's had hamstring issues before. If you have hamstring issues before, you're way more likely to have hamstring issues again. I get it. I understand. Am I saying this is I said in the beginning, I'm not saying it's not a cause for concern, because it is a cause for concern. But in the end, when you're talking about what you're trying to do for this football team right now, you're trying to surround your potentially franchise quarterback with as many weapons as possible, and that's why they took Jordyn Tyson. I mean, was Caleb Downs a safer pick, quote unquote? Sure, I'll go with that. I'll give you that. Caleb Downs was a safer pick. Who says you need to be safe? I mean, look, I've been a gambler my entire life. I started this podcast when I was working in sports betting. I've been a gambler my entire life, and I will be until probably the day that I die. I enjoy it. And there's a time to gamble, and there's a time not to. And this team, when you're talking about a team that has not been the same since Drew Brees left, and you're trying to build an offense that has been awful. It's either been pretty bad or it's been awful for the past few years. You think you have your next franchise quarterback, you're going to give him every opportunity to succeed. And to do that, it's to do it with playmakers. And Jordyn Tyson is a playmaker. It's a gamble. It was a gamble when they drafted him. If he has a great first season, it's still a gamble. I mean, but you know what? Caleb Downs might get hurt too. Anybody can get hurt. It is what it is. It was the right pick at the right time, in my opinion. You're not going to change my opinion on that. If Jordyn Tyson plays 2 games all year, I will still tell you, not because I'm stubborn, I will still tell you that at the time when they made the pick, it was the right pick at the right time. It may turn out to be the wrong pick. Wouldn't be the first time I had egg on my face. But that being said, it was the right pick for this team. William, in spite of Gabe's, here we go. If you want to crown them, crown their asses. If you want to crown them, crown them. Zach Wilson clearly outplayed Rattler, and it wasn't even close. That's simply not true. It wasn't, to say it wasn't even close. It wasn't. I mean, it's preseason, people. He is QB2. He is not QB2 right now. This QB2A and this QB2B. And I'm going to go with this, okay? I'm not trying to piss any of my regulars off, okay? But we do realism on this show, okay? I would choose Zach Wilson. That's who I would choose. However, if Zach Wilson or Spencer Rattler has to play for this football team this year, then the 7.5, the under 7.5 is going to be the easiest bet you make all year long. Just saying. Just saying. I've said this a million times. Rattler has regressed. No, he hasn't. He never regressed. You can't regress if you don't gress. I know that's not a word. I don't care. Today it's a word. Today, gress is a word. Gress. I just put it in my Wordle. It didn't take it. I don't know. But you can't regress if you've never regressed. He's 1-13, people. Zach Wilson's record isn't great either, but it's better than 1-13. And Zach Wilson, before you get started and tell me, but Spencer Rattler had a terrible O-line. Nobody's going to really back up Spencer Rattler right now. But if there were people out there, they would tell me about how bad Spencer Rattler's O-line was, the same O-line that Tyler Shuck played under. But Zach Wilson played for the GD Jets. I don't want to hear it. I think Zach Wilson's better. That would be my choice. But if they pick Spencer Rattler, I'm not going to say, by God, they made an awful mistake. No, I'm not going to say that. You're not going to hear me say that. Nola, man, good morning. It's one preseason game by every account, okay? And this is just, I didn't see one person, not one single expert tell me that Zach Wilson's been better in practice. You know why? Because Spencer Rattler has clearly been better in practice in the scrimmages. It's one preseason game. It just so happens to be the only thing that you really saw on TV, right? But again, they only brought him back. They brought Wilson in here because they think he has a chance to be QB2, and they're not sold on Spencer Rattler. If you ask me right now, and I'm being completely honest, I would say it's 50-50. I truly believe you could pick one out of a hat and you got a 50% chance out of being right. All right, I don't know if this person's really a doctor or not, but welcome to the show. First time I've seen him here. Dr. Gregory L. Again, is that medical doctor? Are you a principal with a doctorate in education? Or you just call yourself doctor? I'm not sure, but thank you for joining the show. He says he's concerned about the health of the D-line. However, he is encouraged of the play of Kristen Miller. He had some really good run stops. I am too. And I think I said, if I didn't say it, I meant to, but I'm pretty sure I did. Kristen, in fact, I know I did. When Zach was on Thursday, one of the players I said I was going to be watching was Kristen Miller. And I thought he looked pretty good. Now, interestingly enough, a lineman that an undrafted free agent maybe looked better than all of them on the offensive line. And when you talk about Michael Heldman, he had 2 of the Saints' 4 sacks. He had, and he added a tackle for loss in there. He's an undrafted free agent with 42 starts in 5 seasons at Central Michigan. Had 120 tackles with 19 sacks. I mean, 19 sacks is fine, but in 42 starts, I guess that's pretty good in the MAC. It's not great. It's pretty good. But I will say this. A lot of people were talking about Michael Heldman before they even got into training camp. When you asked people who they thought are experts, I keep using the word experts, just people who cover the team on a regular basis. If you would have polled them and say who among the UDFAs on the defense has the best chance of making this team, I think Michael Heldman's name was getting called out quite a bit. Doc Gregory says he's an academic dean, PhD. Thank you for having me. Really enjoy your show. We love having you. Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you. And we always love to hear new voices on this show. That is no offense to my regulars, but when I get a new one, when we get someone we hadn't had before, we love that on this show. But again, Kristen Miller, I loved seeing when I had, but man, you can't. Heldman was fantastic. So that's why I wouldn't have picked him as the who grew their stock the most on Saturday. But if you picked him, I certainly don't have a beef with you. Adam says Emerson and Ford look great on defense. Yeah, they both did. Emerson made a big breakup, big play. Mr. Gotro says the defensive ends look good too. By the way, S Gotro 829. Is your birthday on August 29th like a certain show host? If it is, thumbs up to you. Ron, you got to type in just the number 3 if you want to vote. You can't type in #3. Doesn't count. So you can re-put it in. You got to type in just the number 3, nothing else. 3, numeral. I should say the numeral, right? Calvin 142, welcome to the show. Says Heldman easily raised his stock. Okay. Again, I'm not going to argue with you because I could see why you would pick that. There you go. All right. Great day to have a birthday. Kind of, sort of, maybe, not really. But it's our birthday and we can't change it. Escotro says Trey Palmer was a catching machine. Look, again, I know his numbers don't like shine. Again, he had the 2 kickoff returns for 44 yards, but again, eye test tells me that Trey Palmer just did so much. So much. Dr. Gregory also says that Jaden Price solidified his position as the number 2 star. I mean, I think it's going to be hard to not make the team, right? Mr. Working Man, good morning, everybody. Very fortuitous they have drafted Lancet Brown. I don't disagree with that. Bob seems to be coming along. Olave's the number 1 receiver. Saints looking for backups with most of the starters. True. I agree. William trying to say preseason is for evaluation of backups. So is practice. So is scrimmages. It does have value regardless of what some think. Okay, well, we're all entitled to opinions. You know what opinions are like, but we show them because we love to show them. We want to hear from you. I value your opinion. I'm glad you're showing your opinion. It's okay that we disagree. We can agree to disagree. I can't wait till they get rid of preseason. It's going to happen. It hasn't yet, but I can't wait. Aaron Michael 318 says you might be able to get an autographed Tyler Shuck football card in a trade for a Rattler. Maybe. Can I get a bagel too? I don't know what the deal is with bagels this morning. Ryan O'Shea says, just curious how much of Wilson's stats came during the 2-minute drill. Well, I do have play-by-play. I'm glad you asked that. I have it here. 2-minute drill. Let's see. Is this the second quarter? Gotta make sure I get the right quarter here. Here we go. 9 plays, 84 yards, kicked the field goal. I'm guessing most of those were punts. So if 84 yards, they gained 84 yards on that one drive. Let's actually go to the play-by-play. Here we go. Second quarter. Live TV, dummy. 1st and 10 at the New Orleans 5. Wilson passed short, middle to Bub Means. Pushed out of bounds for a gain of 6 yards. Zach Wilson incomplete. Short right to Delp. Zach Wilson passed deep right to Bub Means. Pushed out of bounds at the 48 for 37 yards. Zach Wilson passed short and middle to Delp for 5 yards. Zach Wilson passed deep right to Barrion Brown for 28 yards. Zach Wilson short left to Barrion Brown for 8 yards. And pass incomplete for Bell. So in answer to your question, of the 84 yards, all 84 came in the 2-minute drill. I mean, does that make it not count? Brian? I mean, it answers your question, but does it make it not count? I mean, to me, it's, I will say this, and I'm going to give Spencer Rattler credit where credit is due. I've seen Spencer Rattler run 2-minute drills fine. I think he's actually been fine in some 2-minute drills. And I think, again, if they have a situation like that this week, I would expect that you're going to see Zach Wilson start this game. But you may see, if they have a 2-minute drill, you may see Spencer Rattler come in and run it. And he'll get a chance. Father Steve, we showed a picture of you earlier this morning. Good morning. Imagine if Zach Wilson is the next Baker or Sam Darnold. He could be. Huge upside, even if he comes close to that. Look, again, I know Gabe is like trying to bite his lip right now. I get it. But this is what I brought up earlier. When I say earlier, I mean a couple months ago when they signed him. Do I think it's going to happen? No. However, if you would have Baker, I'm not surprised at all. But Sam Darnold, I mean, I'm going to sit here and tell you, if you would have told me last year that Sam Darnold was leading the Seattle Seahawks to the Super Bowl, I would have told you were out of your box, crazy, just out of your. I'm trying not to use too many cuss words. I'm trying to really cut down on them. I've been using too many. But nuts. I would have called you nuts. 2 years ago, Sam Darnold went 14-3 with the Vikes and then, of course, choked and stunk, which is what I expected at the end. So I've never given Sam Darnold a whole lot of credit, and I've been way too harsh on Sam Darnold, no question. So you can't say it's not possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but you lose nothing by trying to rejuvenate a career. Or I guess you can't rejuvenate something that wasn't ever juvenated. Is juvenated a word, Gabe? Can you juvenate someone? I don't know. If you rejuvenated, can you be just juvenated? I don't know the answer to that. By the way, Mr. Working Man, if you're voting for number 4, you got to type in just the numeral 4, nothing else. Chad says the only person who's been adamant he dislikes is Rat. Thinks Tyson could be great. Just believe they had star wide receiver in the second. Okay, fair enough. By the way, Juvenus. Oh, we are diving into the weeds this morning. Juvenus is a Latin term for young. So why wouldn't it be your rejuvenisted? Whatever. We're just going down. We're going way down. I'm really trying to catch up because we got to get Gabe on the show. Look who's here, my friend. Clyde Renee, where you been, buddy? You haven't been on the show since 100. I got to change that. I got to get you on the show. If Fridays are coming up, we're going to be having our Friday nights together before too long. Can't wait. My good friend Clyde. Glad you're here this morning. I miss you. Jason Benson. Rattler rattled. Practices well come game time. Do you think he's like deer in the headlights for a preseason game? I'm sorry, man. I'm not buying the whole game thing. I don't think he's really getting rattled for preseason. That's my clever Dan. Where else can you get Latin and Merriam-Webster definitions on a sports card podcast? It just ain't happening. Maybe I should get Merriam-Webster to sponsor the show. Teach my yacht ass some words that I don't know. Lots of words I don't know. Escotro says it counts more in a game. We agree. Only one preseason game, 100% agree. Counts more in a game? I don't think it counts more in a preseason game. Now, I think you want to start getting into the weeds and how many preseason games equal practices or whatever. I want to take the whole thing as a whole. I'm not taking one of anything. One of anything doesn't mean jack shit to me. It just doesn't. It never did. It's not going to. One of anything means nothing. Again, I'm not saying I disagree with y'all. I think Zach Wilson should be QB too. But we can't say that Zach Wilson won the job from QB from this one preseason game. All this game did to me, and I think Sean Fazan said this last night, all this game really did was probably earn Zach Wilson the start in this week's preseason game, because all indications were that Spencer Rattler had won the job, or that's who it looked like they were leaning towards, because all the QB2 reps were going to Rattler. All this does is put Wilson in play to where he has a chance to be the first quarterback up on Saturday. Does it affect his odds of making this team? I don't think it did all that much. Not one game. It didn't hurt him, that's for sure. Rattler probably did hurt him a little bit. However, let's just be, come on, man. Come on. Ryan and Gabe should have dinner together. Wilson is terrible. Maybe he is. He wasn't terrible on Saturday. Was he terrible during practices, though? A lot of people say yes. I didn't see him, so I can't judge. Again, the difference is y'all are saying the same things that I'm saying. Just saying. Alvin says August 29th is a bad day. It's his ex's birthday. Well, I get it. I understand. Do not turn 60. It's coming before too long, though. It's definitely coming before too long. Let's see. What else trying to catch up here? We're almost caught up. Chad says he likes Estime. I always have and think he can add some production. I know this is not as popular, but at least he's available, not like me killing Kendre. Huh? Me killing Kendre. Let's see what happens when Kendre gets in there. I have not killed Kendre. I'm in Kendre's. You know me. I should start a podcast called Kendre's Corner. Nobody's been in Kendre Miller's corner more than I have. Musette says, "What's going to happen if Wilson shines in again in game 2?" Well, I hope he does. Let me see. I don't know. What happens if they both shine? What happens if they're both good? What happens if they're both bad? I have no idea. Musette, I mean, I can't answer a question without. What's good? What's bad? I know this. Again, when it comes to preseason, and really not just preseason, I mean, when I look at numbers from a preseason game, they don't tell the whole story. I mean, Spencer Rattler didn't even play all that much. How much? When was his last play? And I got the play-by-play still up. Let's see. Rattler's last play was with 7:57 left in the second quarter. I mean, he played a quarter and a half. So, I mean, we really, again, I hate the fact that I'm even putting the corner to where I have to back up Spencer Rattler because it's absurd that we're just saying that he's not going to win the QB2 job because he stunk in preseason. I mean, come on. He played a quarter and a half of a preseason game. He completed 8 of his 11 passes. Now, that fumble was bad, and he held on to the ball too long. Whoever said it earlier, I told you that I already agreed with you 100%. I've always said Spencer Rattler holds on to the ball too long. But it's not a game. It's not just a game. It's not the bright lights of the game. I've told y'all what I think. I think he's not good at reading defenses, and it's why he dumps the ball off. I don't think it's because he's panicking. I don't think when Spencer Rattler just lets it go and lets it fly, he's a much better quarterback. That's why, to me, if you get a chance to see Spencer Rattler in a 2-minute drill, and Ryan was asking about numbers in the 2-minute drill, how many of Zach Wilson's numbers? Maybe they end up being the same thing. But if Spencer Rattler runs a 2-minute drill, I think he's going to be okay. You know? Blah, blah, blah. All right, we got to get rolling here because it's super late and I got to move on. I told you 90 minutes wasn't happening. And, I mean, we're not moving on, but it is Monday. Got to get Gabe on and get his thoughts. Did you watch the whole game, by the way?
Not the whole game.
Okay.
That's part of it.
What were your thoughts of what not necessarily the Rattler Wilson? I got to be honest. I didn't think we were going to spend as much time talking about Rattler Wilson as we did. I mean, I thought we would talk about it, but I didn't think it ended up being, it ended up being more talk than anything else.
Yeah. And I didn't want to close out the poll this way, but I do want to call up the poll because the poll surprised me. Because, Jim, I came to the same conclusion as you. I think my biggest takeaway is that Trey Palmer woke up feeling pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I got something to I'd rather. That's not good either. Oh well. I guess. Yeah, I don't want. I'd rather be over me. Put it over my ugly mug. Look, I picked Trey Palmer because as far as who did the most to improve his stock on Saturday, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the stock on nobody improved their stock more than this much. Okay. You don't improve your stock immensely from a preseason game. However, that being said, I think the real battle, QB2, yeah, it's important. So I guess my second pick probably would have been, I probably would have picked Bub Means second. I probably would have picked Zach Wilson third and Heldman fourth. And again, they were all important. I think they're all fighting for a shot to make this team. I don't think any of these four are set in stone they're going to make the team. I don't think it's set in stone that any of these four are not making the team. I think they all have, maybe they're all 50-50 because I think that's probably all about what they are. which is why I picked these four.
I think Trey Palmer has the best chance out of any. Well, I mean, I think Zach Wilson will be on the team.
I think that's capacity. Why I picked Trey Palmer in the end.
But I would say Trey Palmer.
Is because I agree. I think of these four, Trey Palmer probably has the best chance to make the team. And I think there's realistic.
I think Zach Wilson does, but I'm also counting practice squad / emergency quarterback as well. I mean, if he sticks around, actually somebody might pick him up if he we'll see if they need a third quarterback. Anyway, I'm gonna close the poll now. That's not me, and I'll talk more about Zach Wilson, but that's not me hating on Zach Wilson. I just don't think anyone would pick him up.
We had a nice turnout for poll voting, by the way. Thank you all who decided to vote, and for those who are listening after the fact and will vote, we appreciate you. Who did the most improve their stock on Saturday? The winner is Michael Heldman, just slightly beating out Bub Means. 34% of you said Michael Heldman. 31% said Bub Means, 28% said Zach Wilson, and 7% said Trey Palmer. And again, this is one of those polls where I think you could have picked anyone, and I'm not going to say I completely understand where you're coming from if you picked any of those four guys. So why is you being saying you need better water?
I don't know. Got HEB brand water. Fine.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm a water purist.
Yeah, I just spent way too much money on a water purifying reverse osmosis machine.
I just buy water bottles.
Yeah, I fill my water bottles with the machine.
Yeah. So the one thing I will say about Rattler, someone commented earlier that he holds on to the ball for too long, which just really isn't accurate. Maybe he did in the preseason game, but overall last year, do you know where he ranked in time to throw in the NFL?
Yeah, he had a lot of dump offs. But go ahead, tell me. Where is average? Where does he rank in average yards per completion? It can't be good.
I don't know. It's not as bad as you would think.
It can't be good. And I know we're on live TV, but I'll say this while you're looking that up. Again, this all goes grain of salt, people. Stats are grain of salt. It's in the preseason. But Zach Wilson's rating 118, Rattler's rating 78.6, which is actually, I believe, a little bit higher than is. Well, you know what? Hold on. While you're doing that on live TV, I'm also going to do this on live TV. What is Spencer Rattler's career rating? And the answer is 78.9. He was 78.6 in this preseason game. So pretty much his career average in this preseason game.
So both Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler were below league average in average yards per completion. Tyler Shuck was 19th at 10.8. Spencer Rattler's 33rd at 9.1.
33rd. I mean, that's awful. And
yeah,
I mean,
no, I agree. I'm not saying. But
that will actually back up I don't necessarily agree with this point, but that number right there would back up the deer in the headlights look, because that's your numbers that look is you're just dumping it off.
I don't think he actually has a better time to throw than Tyler Shuck, but a lot of that is dump offs. And you say, I mean, you mentioned it, and we've seen the practice tape. He can sling the ball. He really can. But whether it's he doesn't know how to read a defense, whether it's just he panics in the pocket in real game situations, he doesn't
whether he's told
live
to play
up to
that way
potential in games. And I think that's where we can all agree. But one thing I wanted to do was just a very quick exercise. And I wanted to read you stats from quarterback A and quarterback B.
Okay.
Quarterback A, 82% completion, 619 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, with a 125.9 quarterback rating.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. How
Pretty
many games?
Damn good. Now, quarterback B, 53% completion, 4 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, with a QB rating of 39.4.
Okay.
Do you have any idea who quarterbacks A and B are?
Are these regular season stats?
Quarterback A is Nathan Peterman in the preseason, and quarterback B is Nathan Peterman in his regular season career.
Yeah,
and that just goes to show you that We cannot
You can
deduce.
go find that from anywhere. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. We cannot deduce how good a quarterback is solely based on preseason.
How long did it find
a dangerous, slippery slope?
How long did it find you to find that anti-Zach Wilson stat?
That wasn't an anti-Zach Wilson stat.
Yeah, no, you're using that to say that Zach Wilson sucks. I get it.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying it's
okay.
It's a slippery slope to use.
I'm effing with you, Ted.
Preseason numbers. I know.
By the way,
Zach Wilson sucks based on the 38 games of regular season football I watched him.
Errol, is it Seeger? Errol Seeger at Errol Seeger says Zach Wilson is the better number 2, and he should be. We appreciate your comment. I don't remember Errol commenting before. If you have, I apologize for not remembering, but welcome to the show. We appreciate you very much. He says Spencer's still making the same mistakes they got him benched last year. Again,
can I just say I don't think it's bad.
Errol says B sounded like Shador's stats.
Shador in the NFL. Yeah, one could have been Shador in college, and the other.
We didn't even talk about him. And I'm trying not to hate on Shador too much, but man, come on. Yeah,
can I just say?
Can we get to where? When are we going to finally agree that Shador Sanders is not an NFL quarterback?
Oh, you and I have always agreed on that.
I'm just saying. When are we going to get the majority of people to agree with us?
Rocky, he actually didn't suck. He was phenomenal in Minnesota.
Sam Darnold, that's
phenomenal in Minnesota, by the way.
He was phenomenal until right before the playoffs when he choked. But
it was that game. It was week 17 against the Lions.
Yeah.
But I will say, so going back to Errol's comment, said, Spencer Rattler's making the same mistakes that got him benched last year. I don't think it was mistakes that got Spencer Rattler benched. I thought Spencer Rattler was, by all accounts, he was average.
Yeah,
but that was the issue. The only reason Spencer Rattler really started, I think, last year, is to give Tyler Shuck some time to kind of ease in and not face that just gauntlet to kill his confidence to start. And I know that's an area that you and I agree, Jim.
Yep. I mean, you and I don't think that I'm going to stress this point out of this entire debate. I don't, in the grand scheme of things, I think you and I agree on for the most part. I don't think it really matters in the long run. The Saints need to go to QB2. That under 7.5 is going to be the best bet of the year, or one of them. Yeah. Although the fact that Jeremiah Price is hurt already. Jeremiah Love's hurt already. Might I'll make you look like a genius taking the under 3.5 for the Cardinals.
He might not even start for them anyway.
Well, if they do that, they're just putting training wheels on him. That's all. Charles, thank you for showing up, man. We appreciate you. Got to go. I understand.
Yeah, anyway. I agree. I said it last week, so I can't switch.
We got to get rolling.
I think Spencer Rattler could potentially come in, and with all of the weapons that the Saints offense has now, I think he could potentially win a game against a semi-average team. But you and I both agree that, and a lot of people think that I seem to think Rattler is like the second coming.
Yeah,
I don't think that at all.
I
think he's a good backup, and
who's the first coming? You know who the first coming is? Evangeline Securities.
Watch it,
Beavis. Watch it, Beavis. You figure out they will figure out what your family run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? By making sure they're not QB2. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, Native New Orleans and Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they'll begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities, top producer on their platform, and there are very few companies like them in this area. In fact, how many companies do you think have their dedication and success? And let me just give you a hint. It's the same number that Gabe gives percentage on Zach Wilson being an NFL quarterback the rest of his career. The answer is 0.0. They're fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick about what's really important, and it ain't this QB2 debate. Tell them what's really important, huh?
You tell them what's important today. My throat's sore.
The rest of your life. Your throat's sore. Didn't you hear me choking for like 10 minutes earlier?
Yeah, but
And we're going
I woke up. That's why I've been drinking so much water. Even more water
Dad's Diner. See, Rocky said it.
And I just want to clarify something. You said I have zero. I'm saying 0.0 for Zach Wilson being an NFL quarterback. Zach Wilson is undeniably an NFL quarterback. He is a quarterback. There's no disputing that. Plays in the NFL.
All right, I meant a starter.
He's a quarterback
again.
But yeah,
starter
0.0. He will never start another NFL game willingly. Let's put it that way. If multiple quarterbacks on rosters get injured, sure, he might start games out of necessity. But there's not going to be a team that willingly makes him their starter.
Huh. Yeah, well, I don't know. Chad wants to know, did LSU go to Evangeline for their private equity buyout? No, but apparently I think they did buy out the number 5, though. That's just, if you missed it in the show, when we're done, go back and you can pick which one is your favorite meme for sure. All right. We got to get rolling. Any final thought? What did you like from this? Anything you like from this weekend?
In what sense?
Anything stick out this week? There was a lot of news this weekend. There was a lot of things to talk. I mean, if we just had a show that was just talking about sports and not necessarily the Saints, which that's not who we are, but if we were just talking about things we saw over the weekend, we could have filled up a whole day's worth of stuff in the show. I mean, for preseason, it was pretty eventful, I got to say.
I will say I like something that's not even NFL related. I like Leonard Fournette coming out and basically telling Jayden Daniels to sit down and shut up.
I didn't see that.
On his podcast. He came out and he's like, Jayden, brother, just let it go. He's like,
Booger Nation, baby.
He's like, no one is bigger than the brand. And he's not wrong. Shout out Leonard Fournette.
That's why he's getting made so much fun of. But I got to be honest.
Exactly.
And I think Jayden is probably, from everything I see, I got to take up for Jayden a little bit here. Mm-hmm. I think he's protecting his mother, who just needs to shut the hell up. And so it sounds like, I know, it sounds like I don't know how much Jayden actually had to do with this himself.
I don't think he did.
And so it kind of sucks that he's the one that's the butt of all these jokes. Now, I happen to think that most of these jokes are in good fun and they're funny. So I'm kind of going with him to some extent. However, that being said, Gordon Jayden is taking a little bit more than he
Ryan Clark came out on his podcast and he said, you guys need to stop picking on Jayden Daniels. He's a good kid. And it's like, he instigated, he brought this whole thing on himself. And whether it's him, whether it's his
pick
mom,
on good kid. I mean, good kids get picked on. He's not a kid anymore. By the way, I did a short on this, and I'm sorry I didn't talk more about this earlier, and the only reason again why I didn't is because I did a short just for this. But yes, R.I.P. to Skip Bertman for sure, 100%.
Man, did you hear Ben McDonald talking about seeing him?
I did actually.
Oh,
I did.
My goodness,
I did.
What a quote from Skip Bertman.
Yeah, I mean, look. I saw a couple of things that really hit me, and one of them actually talking about Skip Bertman before we go off the air, but Larry Holder typed something up when he was when Larry was a young pup at LSU and working for the Daily Reveille, like a lot of us did when we were growing up and cutting our teeth in this business. I did not. I just want to make it clear. I did not write for the Reveille. I was a sports editor at the UNO Driftwood, but never for the Reveille. He talked about how he had to interview Skip for the first time, and when he was done, Skip let him do his thing, and when he was done, Skip told him, gave him some tips on how to interview someone, and in a completely, parental way, I guess, in a dad kind of way, not in any mean way whatsoever. Not like that's not how you talk to. No, he let him finish first, and then he said this, and I just thought that was fantastic, and. I guess I didn't do enough on Skip this morning. I guess I should have talked about him again, so I apologize because Skip Bertman, the effect that he had on, I said it in my short. I don't think there's ever been a more important coach at LSU in any sport ever than Skip Bertman. As well. He's changed LSU athletics for the good that no one else has done. I mean, you think about LSU, where LSU was, like even football wise. Before Skip Bertman, and they hadn't won a national championship since 1958. They went from 1958 to 2003 without winning a national championship. And if you don't think that Skip Bertman had an effect on them winning a football championship, you're just crazy, because he did.
And to take Escali's comment and kind of add to it. Perhaps my favorite part about all of the Skip tributes, the fact that nobody is talking about his sporting accomplishments.
Right.
Nobody who played with him, no one who covered him. They all talk about how great he was as an individual. And I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I only got to meet him a couple of times, and I never I know this is sad to say that I can't remember whether I did for work or not. I can't remember. Again, I talked to him a couple of times, and I can't remember whether it was for work or not. So I've written, you go back and maybe find stories that I've written with Skip Bertman's name in it. I'm sure you can. But you could just tell. I mean, there are some people that you talk to, and you get, most people, for me, I mean, I can get a sense of how a person is, and I know it's not fair to do that, but I'm probably batting about 900. I mean, you can meet someone and within 5 minutes really know whether they're worth talking to or not worth talking to. And just Skip is one of those guys where you're like, this is a special kind of dude. And he was, and he always wanted to help people, and not just winning championships, because to me, coaching, especially when you do it before the professional level, whether it's in high school or even in college, maybe not as much today in football, but I think when you're talking about a lot of sports, again, not as much today as it was back in the 80s and 90s when Skip was coaching, but you're shaping men and women. And to me, that means as much in the coaching realm, especially in high school. And I just got the sense that he was just such a fantastic person, and he was able to shape people, and there were reasons why people wanted to play for him, and it wasn't just because he knew what he was doing on the baseball field.
It says a lot when you are one of the most accomplished individuals at the coaching and administrative levels at one of the biggest schools in the country, and nobody's talking about that when you pass.
Jody's got a great point. It says Arnie Falco said, without Skip, Arnie Falco was the general manager of the Saints back when they went, or he wasn't. Was he the general manager? He was the president of football operations. I can't remember exactly what his title was, but Arnie Falco, obviously one of the big administrators with the Saints back when Katrina hit, who soon after retired, said without Skip Bertman letting the Saints play in Tiger Stadium in 2005, the Saints would have been in San Antonio permanently. And I think there's a good
VP.
Okay, he's basically Loomis now. I think that there's a chance that that's true. And I don't know if people remember this or not. Obviously you don't. You were 7 years old. But I remember this very well, that there was LSU fans did not want the Saints playing. They didn't care about Katrina. They did not want the Saints playing in Tiger Stadium for one game, much less 4 games. I think they played 4 games. It's either 3 or 4. I went to one of them. It was against the Dolphins, but they didn't want the Saints messing up Tiger Stadium. And Bertman said, AD at the time said, "No, we're going to let them play here. They don't have a place to go. We don't want all their games to be in San Antonio, and where else were they going to play?" So anyway, and as Alvin says, his high school coach in the 70s had a deep impact on his life, and a lot of us can say that. I have teachers for sure that had major impacts on my life, and so anyway, that again, I apologize for not getting to Skip Bertman a little bit earlier, but I did do a short on it on Friday. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. You can find it either on Facebook or on the YouTube page. Next show Thursday, we having Doug Mouton on. Looking forward to that. It might be Doug Mouton's at least last appearance on this show in a while, Gabe, because some may not know this, but Doug, who's been on this show, I don't know, 25 times or so, he is moving from sports. In fact, has already begun the transition. Moving from sports, he's going to become a news anchor. Who says sports people can't work in news? Moving from sports director to becoming the morning show anchor on WWL Channel 4, beginning a week from this morning, August the 24th. He is going to come in. I told him a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to make sure I got him on one more time before he left. So he will be coming on the show Thursday, and we will still have Zach with our picks, but it'll be probably crammed into a much shorter time frame. So Doug Mouton will be our guest on Thursday. I expect it to be a long one. I can't wait to hear your picks for AFC and NFC North. I mean, so far we've been fairly close on, not as close as we were last year. Last year we were like in lockstep, but
we'll see. We'll see, because I think when you get to the North and the South, those are the easier divisions to predict. So we'll
probably
see.
so. All right, I will see you on Thursday.
All right.
Gabe Henderson, everybody, and so Doug Mouton coming on again, AFC and NFC North picks again. I want somebody to show me someone who started in news. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm just saying someone who started in news and worked in news for a while. I don't know, whatever you want to define a while as. They worked in news for a while and then went to sports. How many times do you just don't see it that often? However, the other way, sports to news, just happens. Maybe that, I don't know. What am I trying to say? Probably nothing I want to actually say on this show because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Rocky, good show. Thank you so much, Alvin. Thank you. All of my regulars and everyone. And especially, we had a lot of newbies today. Even if you aren't new to the show, but you're just new to commenting, thank you. If this was your first time watching the show, please subscribe if you haven't already done so. If it was your 10th time watching the show and you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, it only takes a second. If you have a YouTube account, if you have a Google account, go on to YouTube and subscribe to the podcast. We'd very much appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. We are trying to continue to grow the show. Even a lot of you don't even know. We've been doing this for 6 years. It'll be 6 years in September. Oh no, sorry. It'll be 5 years. This is the 6th season. We started in September of 2021. My limited Shaw math skills. 26 minus 21 is 5. So it'll be 5 years next month. But we are looking to continue to grow the show. We can't do it without you. We appreciate all the regulars, all the new ones. And Chad, I know you're not always here. Thanks. You do rewatch the ones you missed live. Absolutely. Thank you so much. You got Mike Haas, Lee Zurich, Doug Mouton, Jim Derry made the switch from sports to news. We all made the switch. Doug made the switch from news to sports, but Doug was sports first. Then he went to news. Now he's going back to news. Does that make sense? He went from sports to news to sports back to news. Lee Zurich started in sports. He went to news. Mike Haas started in sports. Just saying. Still Bill, who dat? Glad you're here. Anyway, it's time to wrap up this show. We hope you can join us next, again, Thursday, August the 20th already. Oh, my goodness. Don't miss maybe Doug Mouton's last appearance. Certainly the last appearance on the show for a while. Again, Zach and UBN and Gabe and I will all have our AFC and NFC South picks, along with subscribing to the YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. Everybody have a great, fantastic few days. Let's have no injuries, okay? I don't want to talk about any more injuries, or at least no new injuries, please, for the love of all that's holy, on Thursday's show. And until Thursday, until then, take it easy, my friends.